We are on a mission to stop those bad work stories. So we take everyday situations and apply practical and kind strategies to improve them. Take what resonates with you and put it in your toolkit. And if you're new to our channel, we have got a big back catalogue of work, so please check it out and make sure that you can get into all the episodes. Subscribe and let us know if you have a story that you want to share with us. We love to take your stories and make them good. Wow, welcome back, Corina. How are you?
I'm good, Emma. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm very good. I think you have a story to share.
Woo, we're going to dive straight in. Excellent. All right. So I have a story to share this week, and this is our bad work story. So this situation was shared with me over the holidays, and it's about an after-hours group of professionals who come together in the weekend to play in a cricket league. And they reached out for some help with the dynamics they are starting to experience, particularly when kind of a bit of a losing thing has started to creep into the game. Now, I know this is another, people go, oh my God, there's another sports story, but yes, we can draw the parallels, right? So let me finish with the story, and then Emma, tell me if you've seen this kind of, links before for work. So what happens, right? So here's some detail about the situation, is that, they're all on, before the game, there's this, come on, yeah, we're going to win, this kind of real cheerleading kind of thing, kind of getting everyone up.
Get the rah-rah.
Getting the rah-rah going, right? And then when they don't win, the coach goes into a bad mood, right? So it's kind of like this, bad, hot or cold kind of thing going on. Some players go off to the pub to debrief. But other players, right, potentially those who have families or other responsibilities, or I don't know, maybe even don't drink, I don't know. But it's only kind of a small group go off to the pub, and the others kind of go home, right? And so the group at the pub are doing this kind of debrief, and and it's feeling kind of weird in the team. Surprise, surprise, right? So these feelings of discouragement, separation is starting to kind of bubble. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is that they've introduced a fining system when you play bad. What? And this is the language that they're using. Like when you play bad, and by bad in this context, it's like when you drop a catch, or you don't bowl to your field, or something like that. So there's lots in here, Emma. So, so does that ring some bells in terms of
yeah. Wow, definitely very weird. I mean, sounds like a very judgmental kind of process of feedback. Normally feedback is done in a little bit more more direct and productive, constructive way. Then this is bad, and you got the bad award.
I know.
So it sounds like they're in a bit of a spiral down, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Leader reactions. I mean, it's actually very familiar to me to things that do happen in the workplace. Certainly if you think about a project that, project team, and maybe they've missed a milestone, something critical that needed to happen on time. And, if a leader's reaction, reacts badly, or the mood of the group shifts when it's not positive. So, that whole motivation level starts to drop off, and feelings are bad. But these guys are weekend warriors playing in a sport that's meant to be fun.
Doesn't like too much fun, but maybe that's not their purpose. But I was thinking
maybe.
And I was thinking too that this kind of split group thing could also show up as a parallel in those who are working in the office and those who are remote. So that separation thing, or sorry, what was that, Emma?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, I see that too. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into this, and how do we?
Yeah, I was going to say, whoa, what are we going to do?
Well, let's kick off with something around. I think the leader's behaviour could be a good place to start.
Yeah.
So going hot and cold depending on the results, to me is not helpful. And
Yeah.
interesting enough, like I'll talk a little bit about sports culture, and then we can draw the parallels, into the
Yeah.
workplace. But if anyone has actually been watching sport over the summer, be it football, the cricket, whatever sport you're into, pay attention next time to the behaviour of the coach. And
Mm.
the coaches that I was particularly interested in the cricket, both international for women's and men's, and of course the Women's World Cup football, which we've done a couple of episodes on. So check those out if you haven't seen those already. The demeanor of the coaches is super calm,
Mm.
and it's that feeling of the role of the leader is to absorb that pressure, right? And that's
Mm.
you may have heard that before, but it's kind of like we want the team, whatever's happening, there's a plan, we follow through on it, and I'm not going to go crazy or emotional. Now, there is an outlier to this. If anyone, and I'm sure people would say, hey, Corina, what about Pep Guardiola in Manchester City? He goes nuts, or lots of Premier League football coaches go nuts on the sideline. Well, it's also interesting to note that, Phil Jackson, who's well known as, an outstanding basketball coach in the US, won 11 championship rings. I can remember reading in his amazing book, that he was also his job was to stay calm. And the calmer he was, the more empowered and, kind of that mood contagion of, we've got things sorted, guys, and I trust you to do what you need to do on the court. And
Mm.
that was one of his biggest job, was to main his regulation, emotional regulation out on the
Mm.
court. So does some of that kind of resonate, Emma, with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Totally, totally. Yeah, no. That emotional regulation, I was thinking as you were talking about, leaders certainly set the tone and pace
Mm.
of how, and I was thinking, if this person's putting out, we're gonna win, we're gonna win. I mean, maybe we need to set some better
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we need a pathway. Like winning is the ultimate goal. Don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe there's some smaller chunk it down into what is more realistic goals to achieving. So
Yeah.
building people up and having short-term goals. So this week, I don't know a lot about cricket, so I can't, but make it realistic. Make it something that everyone agrees and to signs up for. So as opposed to because again, referring back to work, I've seen it where leaders have taken on unrealistic deadlines or promised unrealistic things of a team. And then the team, in fact, I've probably been on teams where we've been told, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is it, make or break. And often it does break, to be honest. We might make it, but we might also break it. So realistic, I think realistic targets, in agreement with the team. So that would be something that I would definitely want to see this team coming together around.
Yeah.
And then they will have something to celebrate, I hope, achieving that,
Yeah.
achieving, a smaller, who knows, they may win, but, achieving that smaller goal or
Mm.
goal on the way to winning will help them grow confidence. I think this is right. And we're wanting to grow confidence in people.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
we constantly, setting unrealistic targets and failing, then it doesn't build confidence in the team.
Yeah, totally.
So
And
yeah,
you can see where that discouragement will be coming from, and I think what I would like to add to that is, that piece around control what you can control. Which,
yeah,
like when you're setting those goals, like we can't control the opposition. We can't, on the cricket analogy, we can't control the opposition. We can't control the pitch conditions, but what we can control is every time I go up to bowl, I'm going to do my best to bowl to my field. Or every
yeah,
time there's an opportunity to catch, I'm going to run and make sure that I don't take my eyes off that ball, or whatever the technical terminology is, or I'm going to
yeah,
catch with two hands versus one. Like what are those small skill adjustments that And it's the old thing about focus on the process and the results will look after themselves. So what
Yeah.
is my process that I can control? And we've had
Mm.
some brilliant examples, for over the US Open tennis over the last 2 weeks. Incredibly huge environments where top performers are needing to perform at their absolute best. And what can you control? Like
Yeah.
within you and your process and resetting and, like everything that goes on internally and externally. So in this situation, yeah, like what are the personal best? What is the commitment to
I
those
like that.
goals?
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you're taking some personal responsibility
Yeah.
as well. So you're not feeling overwhelmed by turning up and having to win for the team because that's
Mm.
just bizarrely
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, but I can be my best today. What is the thing I'm focusing on? And I'd even, think that could be a really good session prior to going on to the field, is like
Mm.
going, what are you working on? What's everyone going to
We're
work
gone.
on today?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that feeds round to me to purpose, right? Which is what is our
Yes.
purpose of this team? What is this team, and whether it's cricket team or your work team, it's like what is our purpose here? And there can be a couple of
Yeah.
purposes, like yeah, the to show up and move up the league, or to deliver a project on time, or to raise our standard of excellence, or to and then the personal purposes around, like I want to work on this part of how I do presentations, or how I show up, how quickly or effectively, or whatever it is on your presentations, and or on the field,
Yeah.
right? So
Totally.
what is the purpose there? And then, as you mentioned a little bit a while ago, it's like, well, maybe the purpose of this particular team is to come together to have fun while learning a new skill. Now, if that was your purpose, then it wouldn't be this big sort of thing about winning and discouragement.
No,
So,
and then the post-match wouldn't be about your bad behavior. It actually
or
do you think?
or, or fining people for bad
Yeah,
behavior, or what is actually like a mistake, like dropping a catch, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's
like I've seen it used in corporate like that. Have you seen the fining
yeah,
behaviors piece?
yeah.
You have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that, again, it's about, agreement.
Mm.
It's about an understanding. You can't just, blanketly put these things over the top. They've gotta have a relation. You've got to be aware of, what you're working on, where you're up to, what's the standard, and, what is the expectations, and then what are your needs, in the team? What do you need to learn? What do you need to grow with?
Mm.
What support do you need? Because just making a statement that this is the behavior that's expected, okay, I need some help,
Yep.
I might
Yeah.
need some clarity and
Totally.
things like that. So again, this is an ongoing feedback. I think what we're sort of coming to is this point that there's got to be two-way. It's not a one-way, here it is, my way or the highway, do it this way
Mhm.
or get out of the team, which we do see plenty of.
Yeah,
Sadly.
totally. And I was just thinking, just on that finding that bad behavior piece, is I've seen that used in teams for, like meeting behaviors, and particularly turning up late. Like people have, it started with a really good intention, where, hey, if you're late, put a couple of bucks in a jar, kind of thing, and it goes to charity, or goes to an end of, kind of month, or, term program, or something, like something with the team. But what I've seen, how it's become complacent and abused, is where teams, people turn up and go, right, here's a note instead of coins, for example. I'm paying in advance because I will be late.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, that's not the
that's
intention.
not the
That's not going to work.
intention of what, so it can breed that kind of complacency. And I think what we're kind of working towards here, Em, is that whole thing around learning and debriefing and reflection. And in this particular example, they had the team split off, and part of the kind of the kind of post-mortem, if you like, was done at the pub with a small group of people. And like that would be the analogy at work around, well, only the people in the office get to kind of debrief, where those of you who were online for whatever
Yeah.
reason, you don't get to be part of this.
Yeah.
And like what does that breed, in terms of learning? Like
Exactly.
how, sorry, Em, go.
the fragmentation and the team is then you've got subcultures, right? And you've got
Absolutely.
people, having
Absolutely.
side conversations. Things aren't being dealt with up front and honestly. And we know that those factions and that's just cracks in the team will mean that there is lack of coherence and collaboration. So basically, it'll fall apart very quickly.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, like the kind of a big signpost here is the growth mindset, right? Which is if people see kind of, oh, we lost or we failed, that kind of language is replaced by, hey, it's just feedback. Feedback is a data point, and we get to decide if it destroys us and we're terrible and da 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 da, or do we look at it and go, oh yeah, that's interesting. That tells me where I'm at, where my skill level's at. What do I need to do next, right? So this is where the current reality is. It gives me a next step, and whether that's on
Totally.
like the sports team like this, where individually, what do we need to do? What do we need to do as a team, and at work as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah, I think definitely there's some good things there. Anything else you want to add before
yeah, I mean, I think
we wrap it up?
the other thing is like managing like that expectation around
Yeah.
learning as opposed to winning.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of my grandson's football team. Like he's 10 years old, and in that particular team, they do. I'm trying to remember the key things. It's like, did you listen to the coach? Like, were you coachable? Right?
Mm.
Were you a good team member? And did you have fun?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like how brilliant. I mean, I think that's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Like were you listening and have a growth mindset, taking things on? Did you help out your team? Were you, because it's a team game, and
Yeah.
and then did you have fun? So I mean, keeping it simple. And the other piece, just because it's relevant over the weekend, was again back to the US Open finals. There's a lot of talk of like there were some new champions, and there were champions who didn't make it. Right, the world number one didn't reclaim his title. Novak Djokovic, but this is Carlos Alcaraz who I'm talking about. But he even said, like, I'm learning from this experience. I'm not mature enough yet to learn, to deal with this experience. Therefore, I'm learning. And the commentary teams were talking about the junior series that goes on. We're talking about 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and how they're learning in different environments, and it all adds to their experience. So so it's not seen as a loss, like failure. It's actually seen as, okay, that's the next path, that's the feedback point, that's what I need to
Totally.
gain to build my experience towards the long term, not just a short-term result. So yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
And as in that's another sports event over the weekend, the opening of the Rugby World Cup, which
yeah,
I'll change codes just quickly, and the All Blacks lost to France.
they do.
And the answer from the whole team was nobody wins the Rugby World Cup in September. It's in October, and when it's the first game, it's the first game
Yeah.
of the tournament, and we all know that everyone's performance gets better and better over
Yeah.
a tournament. We saw it with the
Yeah.
FIFA Women's World, any tournament. So the end game is not the first game; it is getting to the final and the ultimate game. But who knows?
And
There's a lot of work
apply
to
that
do.
to a team. Again, sometimes there are powers be that external factors that may pressurize that system. So again, what can you do? What can you control? To keep moving forward from that for you
Yeah.
and purpose and culture. So I think
Yeah, and I hope
I
this
think
team can take some of this on board. Some learnings,
exactly.
some learnings there for all teams, and specifically this cricket team. I hope they have more fun.
Totally, totally. And again, take what resonates, everybody out there. If there's, part of this that resonates for you, put it in your toolkit. Try it out. Let us know how you get on. Again, if there's something bigger than this and you want some one-to-one help, please reach out to Emma and I. This is what we do. And if you liked this, this episode, give us a like. If you find value in this channel. We need your help to build it and to grow it and to have it continue. So we really appreciate you subscribing, doing the notifications, all of those things that you know what to do. So until next time,
Thanks a lot.
thanks.
See you later.
Bye.